Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Gaming Matters podcast, where we talk with real people about the real impact gaming has had on their lives, hosted by me, David White. I'm joined today by JMOTheSCHMO of twitch.tv/JMO, the SCHMO, or Schmo. Happy to have you here, JMO.
Thank you for having me. It's a real privilege to be here.
So let's just kick things off. How did you get into gaming initially?
I grew up in the 70s. I remember my dad buying us Pong, which is basically the first video game ever. And you hooked it up to your television and it was basically hitting a ball back and forth, kind of like Breakout and or similar. Anyways, or like actually it's more like tennis, you know what I mean, where you're hitting the ball back and forth. And then from there I got a Intellivision, if you remember those. I got a Commodore 64, would play games on that. My friends all had the Atari 2600. So when I joined the military, I could afford to buy a Nintendo, the original Nintendo. So that over the years, of course, I started a family, started having children. I had PlayStations and Xboxes and Wii and pretty much any gaming system you can imagine. Um, so I've always played games. I think if I could name one game that I really liked off of the console, it would be Assassin's Creed. I've played all of those. So, and I'll play around with different games, or I'll see a game in the $5 bin that might look fun, and I'll grab that. So it's always been a part of my youth, my adulthood, and it's always been a part of my kids growing up as well.
So I know from watching your content on Twitch that you play a lot of Minecraft through, I believe, the Java edition, and that's on PC. So do you primarily play on PC now, or do you still play on console? Or
So I don't play any games on console anymore. Not that I'm against it. I'm so into Minecraft. I do play on Java. I started playing on my MacBook Pro, and then last year I built a gaming computer, and that's when I started streaming.
awesome. So how would you say gaming really influenced you whenever you were growing up?
I think as you're anybody that grows up, you have a little bit of teen angst, you have a little bit of anxiety about things, and um, video games is a good way to not only get you off the streets and get you away from potentially hanging around the bad kids, but it's a really good way to be in control of what you want. Something I could compare it to was when I was 17 years old, I bought a sport touring bicycle, and I lived near the beach. Well, it was about 20 miles from the beach, and I would just ride to the beach, and I felt a lot of freedom being on that bicycle, or I could turn left if I wanted, turn right if I wanted. And with video games, I think there is that you may feel constrained by your parents, and they're just trying to be parents. But
Yeah.
I feel like video games are like it's a way to have freedom. It's a way to play what game you want, on what difficulty you want, with whomever you want. And back in the day, we didn't have Xbox Live, and we didn't have the internet and so forth. So we would just go to our friends' houses and we'd all play the same game together. With the advent now, where people have friends, they're inviting. Someone came to one of my daughter's weddings. They had never met, but they've been friends for like 10 years because of Xbox. And he came to her wedding.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just super cool stuff like that you can do nowadays. You couldn't do it in my day. If you wanted to play with your friends, you just went to their house and played.
That's how it kind of was when I was growing up too, but that was mostly because I didn't know PC gaming existed or console gaming went into, the internet age. So I know that you've been in the service. Could you briefly go over that?
Sure. I was just talking with someone about this today, and I was bringing up how I was just a poor student. I was just not a good student. And in college, I have a 3.5 and above, range. Um, but in high school, I just didn't get it. I just didn't understand, and I was aware of that. I was aware that I was a lazy student, and so what I did was I wanted to go to the Art Institute of Seattle, and I was really into art when I was younger, and it was $15,000 for 2 years.
Ouch.
So I didn't have the money to pay for it. This is back in 1988, right? So I didn't have the money to pay for it. I was getting ready to get out of high school. I was not a very good student, and so I decided to join the military with the GI Bill. They had a 2 year enlistment for $17,000. I don't know if they do 2 and 3 year enlistments anymore, but back then they did. And I joined for 2 years. I ended up enjoying it. Um, in basic training, believe it or not, I became the honor graduate of 135 guys in Army basic training, and they brought all the 2 and 3 year enlistments into a room, and they said, if you want to get closer to home or you want to pick your duty station, then you just add 1 year to your enlistment. So I was supposed to go to Fort Carson, Colorado. So I ended up adding a year and then coming closer to home in Southern California. And I did 3 years as a tanker. Um, it was peacetime. I'm thinking, no sweat. I'll go in. I'll serve. I'll get out. I'll get my GI Bill, and then the first Gulf War breaks out. Kuwait gets invaded. Like, I got a year and a half in the Army, and Kuwait gets invaded, and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm in the Army during the wartime. So, and we were one of 2 tank units to not get deployed because we were a what they call opposing forces, op 4, and all of the blue force, or the good guys, they'd come train against us, and our unit replicated a Soviet tank regiment, and we would go out and have mock battles with the integrated laser systems. And so we'd do mock battles all the time. And half the Pentagon generals said, send the op 4, they know how to fight in the desert, they beat the blue forces butt every time. And then the other half of the generals are thinking, well, we need to prepare for some large tank battle, and we need to activate these National Guard tank battalions, and the op 4 need to train them so they could go be basically reserves or backup for the people already being sent over. So, anyways, what ended up happening was um, we ended up staying stateside and staying. I was stationed at Fort Irwin, California, and we ended up staying there, training people, putting in a lot of long hours. But I I knew I wanted to be a firefighter, so I ended up doing my time and getting out so that I could pursue that.
And you've been a firefighter up until today, since you left the military, correct?
Well, since I left the military, I ended up getting a job as a hospital orderly for probably, and going to EMT school to be an emergency medical technician. I got a job on an ambulance, and then went to paramedic school, and then worked as a paramedic on an ambulance for about 8 years or so until I finally got picked up at a time when it was really difficult to get hired. It's a lot easier now, but it took a while to get hired. So I was trying to stay close to home. A lot of firefighters will take a job, many miles away where they have to commute, but I had a young family. I owned my home. I wasn't ready to relocate or anything like that. So I was testing close to home, and I got hired by my dream department, which was close to where I was living at the time. So that's how I started in the fire service. I got hired in 2002, and I've been going ever since.
Well, that's awesome. You really do have like a servant's heart, I guess, if that's the right word for it.
That's the term that I'll use sometimes, like, especially in interviews when they say, "Why do you want this job?" Or there is a sense of service that you get, and I think a lot of that goes back to my military time when I was, those are formative years, when you're kind of becoming a man. You leave high school, and whether you go on a religious mission or you go off to college or you join the military, those are formative years where you grow up and you kind of become a man. So um, so a lot of things, that like the sense of service and my attention to detail, they all go back to those military days.
Well, that's great. I'm glad it. I'm glad. Words and how to use them. I'm glad that the military instilled a sense of service into you, because that is a great attribute to have in a person, especially in a content creator such as yourself. You mentioned while you were in the military that you saved up to buy like a gaming console. Were you allowed to use
Yes,
that there, like during your downtime, or?
you could. Some people had early computers like Tandy 1000s. They had some people had computers. Most did not. A few had gaming consoles. But if it was left out or not locked up, it was going to get used by other people for sure. But I did leave it once I met my now wife. When we were dating, I left it at her house, and then it turns out her brother was just playing it all the time. So either way, we had a job where we'd be gone for 1.5 to 2 weeks at a time, out doing field mock battles and so forth. And so it got a lot of use. Not always for me though.
Well, I'm honestly glad that it got used because it's still a game. It can still be enjoyed by people,
Absolutely.
even if you might not have been for or against that. Someone else using your
Exactly.
console. So what games would you say had the largest impact on you? I know
Just some
you
of the early. Go ahead.
I know you mentioned Assassin's Creed a little while ago, and we've also we met through Minecraft. I mean, you do Minecraft a lot, so I was wondering if it was either of those.
I think just thinking way back when and learning patience. I'll go all the way back to in television and learning patience and finally kind of being good at something. I was a small introverted kid, and finally being good at something. I would play my brother on in television baseball, and I'd kick his butt every time. And then I come to learn he doesn't want to play with me when I kick his butt every time. So you have to learn that point of playing video games as well, where it's enjoyable for everybody. But going way back then, I think that influenced me. And then Assassin's Creed, I'm a big history buff. I share that with one of my daughters who has a degree in history, bachelor's degree in history, and that's it's almost like you're immersed in history. That's what I really like about that game. And then, of course, Minecraft. That's a whole nother story of how I got involved in that and how that's influenced me for years. For ever since before you could buy it, I was playing beta Minecraft.
Yeah, I've also been playing Minecraft for a really long time. It's pretty much a game that I grew up with. Like you were talking about how you grew up with video games and how it kind of helped you form. That's kind of the same case with me. And honestly, Minecraft, it's a very special game to me. So, um, I wanted to talk a little bit about how you got into Minecraft. You said you've been playing since about the beta.
That's right. Since beta, my kids showed it to me. This was before you could even go to the end. I was playing it. And then when that popped up, my kids showed me that update and um, how to put in mods, which I've never really been big on mods, but how to put those in. And it's something I just kind of took off with. And a funny story, the first building I ever built was this huge tower of dirt with ladders going up one wall and some windows that had no glass in it. And it was just this huge tower of dirt. And that was back in the day when you could skip ladders and still climb. You could do every other ladder.
Yeah,
And
that was a long time ago.
it was a long time ago. And so I built that, and one of my kids goes, "Why would you build a tower out of dirt?" And I was, "There's just so much dirt around here." So that's when I also discovered schematics, and I would build like a coliseum, or I'd build an like a steampunk airship, or I'd build some type of a house off of a schematic. So that's where I really started to learn how to build and kind of found a love for building. And that's why I would consider myself of being an adventurer or a PvPer or a redstoner. I consider myself a builder 100%.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I tried to get into building a long time ago. I'm still trying to do it now. I'm not very good at it. You mentioned being like doing adventuring or PvP or redstone. I definitely fall into that redstone category, but building is definitely really cool. It's just always something that I've admired, and it's something that whenever I first saw your build, I was really impressed. Um, and for those of you who don't know, JMO, He does Minecraft content over on Twitch. I mentioned that at the beginning, how you can find him. He's been doing this long form castle build for how long has it been? 6 or 7 months?
I ended up doing it for a total of about 9.5 months.
Oh wow, I was 3 months
And
off.
I could have spent another easy month on it, but it was just time. It was time to put it out there. So I did upload it to Planet Minecraft, and it's got almost 400 downloads right now after about 8 or 9 days.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. I mean, it's a really good build, and it took you a long time to make it. So I'm glad it's being enjoyed by so many people.
Well, thanks for your kind words. And there's, I didn't want to. Someone mentioned once, like, why don't you like charge $5? Then you can just send them the file, or then you can put that money towards charity. And it felt weird because the kind of builder I am, especially when I'm, or pretty much only when I'm streaming, is I'll take a lot of input. So if I say, hey, how does this color look, or what should we do here, and a lot of the viewers will say, hey, try this or try that, and sometimes I'll say, nah, that doesn't really work for me. And then other times I'll say, that looks awesome, nice. So now those people have ownership in the build. So I feel like even though I built it, there was so much influence from so many of the viewers and other people that it would feel wrong to, even for charity, to give to charge for it, basically. So it's on Planet Minecraft. It's totally free to download, and so far it's getting some good numbers. So I'm excited about that.
Well, that's pretty good, honestly. I mean, I'm glad it's doing well for you. Um, Speaking of your time on Twitch, how did you get into that whole world of streaming? Because I realize it's not something that every gamer does. It's something that requires a completely different set of skills, and some people just get into it for fun. Some people do it for business, and I think you've kind of found a in between road. If you would like to go into that further about your time on Twitch.
No problem at all. This is one of the most fun hobbies I've ever had, and I do consider it just a hobby. I have a pretty good career as a firefighter. We've done okay for ourselves. My wife works, so financially, um, I wouldn't do it for financial reasons. That's just me. Some people do, and hats off to them. I think that's awesome. So what I do is, or what I did was, I got a Twitch account. I think, oh, I forgot how long ago. It was probably 2014, 2015, and I started watching people on Twitch. Not all the time, just every once in a while. And I decided I wanted to stream. So the only thing I had was my MacBook Pro, and it could barely handle OBS and the game. And people were watching me, and I had like 15 viewers or something like that. And people would put in the comments like, dude, I like your builds and I like what you're doing. It's a cool vibe, but your frame rate is like 1 a second. You know what I mean? It was just absolutely horrible frame rate. So my computer just couldn't handle it. And I was literally just sitting on my couch with a laptop on my lap playing Minecraft. And so I knew I needed a gaming computer. So my son and I, Nick Moore 911, he streams on Twitch. He wanted to stream and wanted to build a computer and so forth. So we were talking about it, and for Christmas, over a year ago, so Christmas of 2019, he gave me a webcam, and he said, "This is the start of your build." And I was like, "Challenge accepted." So I just started nickel and diming it, and I wanted a really good computer. I wanted a computer that was better, way better than what Minecraft needed. Because what if I changed my mind one day? I want to start playing Call of Duty, or playing something that was, took a lot more out of the computer. I did want something that could do shaders and mods and stuff like that. So I knew I needed something good, but I really built a really nice computer, and just kind of nickel and dimed it. So it didn't, people that are worried about the expense of a computer and whether or not they can afford it. You can afford it when you're spending $30 here, $40 there. So I did that. There's a few more zeros, but that's what I did, and that was Christmas of 19. So in May of 2020, I was ready to build it. So I built it with the brother of Lendermations, who is my son's wife, and she also streams on Twitch. Um, her brother helped me build it. So we built this big computer, and it was just a few days later I set everything up and did my first stream.
So this was in 2020 when you started doing your first stream, like in January, or was it like in still December?
No, this was May. So
Oh,
I
okay.
got the webcam in December, and then over the course of several months,
Right.
I
Okay.
yeah, I got a bunch of the parts. Like, this month I'd get the GPU, and this month I'd get the monitor, and this month I'd get, the, whatever, whatever part I needed next. Um, and it was May of 2020 that I finally had everything I needed, and then that's when we built it, and it's been doing pretty good ever since.
Well, that's pretty awesome, man. Um, I don't remember when I started watching your content, but it must have been a few months after that. I believe it was maybe August, if you can remember.
I don't remember. That's when the channel really started to kind of blow up and take off, was August, September. So it very well could have been then.
Yeah, I just know that it's been quite some time since I've started watching you, and I've really enjoyed watching your content. It's very relaxing to just open your stream, and even if I don't talk, even if I don't interact, it's just very relaxing to just listen and interact with the community sometimes.
I appreciate that, and that is a comment that I do get sometimes. Is that it's just so relaxing in here. Like, this one guy said, he just puts me on his TV and he goes and he makes dinner and he just listens to me. He doesn't even watch it; he just listens to me, which is really funny. So, anyways, it's been it's there were a lot of things I didn't expect. I just thought I was gonna play Minecraft and some people were gonna watch. I didn't know about community. I didn't know about some of the loyalty that people have towards kind of the JMO brand. But it's been really surprising, and it's something that I could have never guessed would have happened. I think just out of humility and out of, you know, I didn't get into it to be famous by any means. I remember this one, I'll call him a kid because he was a younger kid. He said, "I know two famous people." I'm like, "Oh, cool, who?" And he said, "This guy and you." And I had only had like 500 followers at the time or something like that. So it was kind of fun. Like, wow, some people do like look forward to watching me, which is, to me, is a it truly is a privilege to play a game I love and have people watch and actually appreciate that some of the things that I build.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the you briefly mentioned it earlier, but I would like to go a little bit deeper on it. The aspect of the 100% charity stream that you run. And this isn't like just an event, your whole stream. Every single, I believe it's bits and your affiliate revenue goes directly to charity. And is that all, or am I missing something?
No, every single penny, um, every sub, every gift sub, every bit. I have a PayPal donation link. All of that, anything I get goes to charity. Anything that I need, like I said, I've been fortunate with my career. So if I need something, I'll just go get it. When I needed a green screen or felt like it was time for a green screen, I just bought the green screen. I didn't, like I said, this is my hobby, and I've spent a lot more money on other hobbies, that's for sure. So it's fun for me. So, something I've brought up in the past is when you have a chef, like a culinary, like a cook, they have a culinary point of view. They have something that defines them, like Asian fusion or soul food or steak and potatoes, or whatever the case may be, Italian, and I think that streamers should have a like streaming point of view. Like, why are you doing this? What puts you not above the next guy, but what differentiates you from the next guy that just is on playing games, trying to build a community, maybe trying to make some money and maybe even get famous? What Why are you here? Why are you streaming? And when I was getting started, I thought, I have no, if I got famous, okay, cool, that's awesome, because then more money is going to come in to give away to charity, but what it boils down to is, this is something um, that feels good to do. There's sometimes I'll mention something in stream like, hey, this is what we're doing this month or who we're giving to this month, and then I'll get an alert on my phone for like a $50 donation on PayPal, or someone will drop 5 gift subs or something like that. So it really is rewarding to know that people come on Twitch and they're so generous and so kind. And we did after I think it was 7 months of streaming, we did our first $1,000 donation, $1,000 plus donation in 1 month. So it's very, very rewarding to make those donations. And when I do it on behalf of the JMO the Schmo Twitch community. I don't do it from me. I don't do it, I do it on behalf of the community because that's who's really doing this, and who's really building this amount up so that we can give it away. It's been very rewarding.
Well, I'm honestly glad to be able to help and support your brand. I'm not able to contribute with money, but I'll host your stream and I'll shout it out and do pretty much everything I can to get the word out because it is a really like you said, it's a really rewarding thing to do, and you do have a very giving community.
Absolutely. And I appreciate your contributions. I appreciate everybody's contributions. I've done a lot of giveaways. When I hit a certain follower mark, I'll do giveaways, and I used to send out Minecraft torch water bottles, and that started getting expensive when because I'm doing it out of pocket when they go international. And I've sent Minecraft torch water bottles to all over the United States and to Australia and Sweden and Canada, and it's really fun to do that because I drink out of a Minecraft torch water bottle on stream. Um, but it just started getting kind of expensive, and as fun as it is, I had to stop doing that. So I did give away some copies of the game. So I give away the codes that they can redeem. I've been doing that, which has worked out really well. So I do try to give back to the community from a personal standpoint because I do appreciate what people are doing and their generosity.
Well, that is awesome. I didn't even know about the that you gave away torch cups. I think I knew that you were giving away codes of the game sometimes whenever you hit milestones, but I didn't know about the cups. That's pretty cool. So that way people can, look at the water bottle and be like, "Hey, that reminds me of a JMO stream. I'm going to watch that tonight."
Exactly.
So, what brought you to the idea of wanting to turn your stream into something that gave back to all these charitable organizations? Was there did someone tell you about that idea, or did you come up with it yourself? How did you come to that?
There are a lot of people that do charity streams, like just a particular stream for charity, which is very noble and admirable. Um, but I didn't know anybody that did 100%. And someone asked me one time, like, well, what if you're making $5,000 a month? And I said, then I'm giving $5,000 a month away to charity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not making it. These are contributions from the community. I'm just kind of a middleman, it makes them feel good, makes me feel good. There wasn't a moment. It was just something that I just kind of popped into my head when I was kind of figuring out what my streaming point of view was going to be. Why am I doing this? And it's been a lot of fun, and it's raised a lot of awareness for things too. Like this current month's charity is called Reese's Rainbow, and it's a charity that helps financially with adoptions for special needs children, especially from other countries. Um, so that's something that I have a special needs cousin. So it's something that was kind of near and dear to my heart. Um, but there's a lot of people that may want to adopt a special needs child and can't because they don't have the money, or maybe the child lives in another country. So that's what we're giving to this month. Every month is something different. Um, for me, it raises a lot of awareness for other for small charities like Pollinator Partnership. I didn't even know that existed, but I knew I wanted to do some type of an animal charity. So I had it up between something related to bees and pollinators, or a marine mammal um, charity, which the next animal charity we do will be a marine mammal charity. And so it's just something that I just kind of like, yeah, let's do this one. There's bees in Minecraft, so it seemed like a good idea. And now they sent me a little flag. They send me thank you letters and so forth. So it's really been, what I should do is, I just thought, just popped in my head. I have these letters in my in a file, and what I should do is put them on my Discord server so people can see these letters from all these different people that have, thanked the community for the contribution.
Yeah, I'd love to see those, honestly. Like that would be really cool to see how their community's contributions have affected the charities that you're giving to, or that they're giving to through you. I guess that's how you would phrase it.
That's how I'd phrase it. I'm kind of like a middleman. And
So
these are, if I could finish that thought,
yeah, yeah.
these are kind of a. I try to do international charities. Think because we do the channel has viewers from England, Africa, Australia, Canada, all over the place. So I try to do international um, charities. So what someone mentioned when I was doing the animal charity, someone mentioned like a horse rescue by their house, and I was like, well, that's fairly isolated. You know what I mean? Like it would be a great cause and it would be a worthwhile cause, but I'm trying to, because of the community, reach out to a broader um, not audience, but like yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. Is kind of a broader aspect of where the viewers are from, and it can benefit people in their country as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good thing to do, and I can completely understand why you'd want to do something like that. To support more global organizations, even if they're smaller in scope, they're still doing really good work. And I'm
Right,
honestly really glad that you're doing this, and I hope that other streamers in the future catch on and sort of not necessarily steal what you're doing, but get inspired by what you're doing and do more charity work, because there's a lot of stuff that gamers can do to help with charity, and there's already so much that gets done. Um, I mean, you already mentioned that you've gone over $1,000 for a month. How many months have you done that, or was it just the 1 month that you've done that?
it was just the 1 month, and it was a really good month. We've given almost $4,000 so far. In just, I think we've done 7 or 8 donations, I believe. I'm not sure exactly. Um, I'm thinking my first one was in August. So I think we've done 8 total. And some were $250, some were $700, some were, $1,040. Um, but the first ever donation was $500 to Stand Up to Cancer, and that kind of set the pace. So it's been uh, it's been very, very, very rewarding. And something that a little story here I'll share is there was someone that wanted to become a streamer and have a computer, and their mom wouldn't let them. So they're a younger streamer, and so they were talking to me and messaging me, and I do have to be careful. And admittedly, I have to be careful because I'm a 51-year-old guy playing Minecraft. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here and I call these 16-year-old people, kids from England, my friends. They really are just good, decent people, and that's of course where it is. We're just friends on Twitch, but this kid was like, I kind of want to do charity. And I was like, well, sell that to your mom. Approach her like that. Like, hey, I do want this, and this computer costs a little bit, and this is going to be a good, fun hobby of mine. But if I give, half of my money to charity and half of my money back to my stream, then would that be okay? And she said yes. You know what I mean? So not only is charity good for, the people that we give to, it's also good to get people into giving as well.
Yeah, charity honestly is the gift that keeps on giving, and that's a really inspiring story, honestly. Um, like that's really nice and heartwarming to hear that you helped get someone into streaming by convincing them to do more charity work. Because there's nothing wrong with doing more charity work. Like there's always room for more charity work in the world, and that is just a great thing. So I kind of want to move on from this topic. We've talked a lot about it, and it is something that is definitely worthwhile. If you're interested in checking out JMO's stream for any reason that we've mentioned, again, it is twitch.tv/JMOTheSCHMO. Just kind of a mid-roll shout out there. So, along the 9 months that you've been streaming, if I have that right, you said about 9 months that since you started,
Not quite 10, but yes, I believe it's like 9.5 months right now.
9.5. Have you ever been asked for specific advice for getting started? I know you talked about getting involved with charity work with that person in Britain. Is there anyone else that's come to you for advice? And if so, what would you usually tell them?
One of the first things I tell them is or ask them is, why are you doing this? What's your purpose? What's your streaming point of view? I brought that up a few times now, but I think it's important to reiterate. Um, why are you doing this? Some people think it's fun. Some people, maybe some people get attention and accolades that they wouldn't normally get. You know, I think it brings people out of their shell a little bit. But when people come to me with like, I'm doing this, once they're already doing it, what advice do you have? And it's kind of not difficult to give advice, but my stream kind of took off. I had to play catch up. There was a lot of things that the stream was moving, and I was just kind of like, I'm just here to play Minecraft. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know I needed emotes and overlays and social media and and stuff like that. So those are things like that I tried to get going as soon as I could, as quickly as possible. But that's something that I try to tell people is just have a checklist. Here's a better example. When someone comes to me, I used to be a paramedic preceptor, so I've been a paramedic for 26 years. I used to precept paramedic students, which means they would come to my fire station for 25 24-hour shifts, and I would basically, they had been through paramedic school, now they're ready to put those skills to use in a real world environment. And I would tell them, like, I don't have all the answers, I really don't. So what you do is you look at this person, this particular paramedic, and say, I really like the way he assesses. Or you look at this paramedic and say, I really like the way that he does his paperwork. Or this paramedic and say, I really like the way that he starts an IV. And you take the best of everybody, and then you build what in your mind is a really great paramedic, and then you start striving for that. And I could say the same exact thing, use that same example with streaming. Find out, that's what I did. I went to some big streamers and I watched what they did. They engaged with their chat. They had really cool, something I haven't done yet, really cool sounds that would come up with a command or with a channel point. Um, they had just all their overlays were really nice. You know what I mean? They were super fun. They were happy all the time. And I watched them and I like, okay, I'm going to pick the awesome part of this guy and the awesome part of this guy, and I'm going to build what I think is the perfect streamer. And then I'm going to write all those things down and try and accomplish those things every time I go on. Does it happen every time you go on? No. And it's not a failure. It's just, that's something I can work on next time. It is okay to be self-critical. It's totally okay. I do it all the time. There's a saying that I would rather have someone that questions everything they do than someone that's um, sure and finite about everything they do. It's like, no, things can be better. Things can be better. So what I do is I self-critique. I'll even watch my own VODs and go, what did I do here? What did I do there? Um, and try to build. I'm still working on it, and I think it's going to take years to build what I think is the perfect streamer, and build myself into that as well. So that is some advice that I do give, is just find out what you want to be, or what who you admire, and then try to become that person.
I think that is some pretty solid advice, honestly. Like that is some really good advice, and it comes from experience because you have done this for a while, and it's just something that you've picked up along the way, and it's something that you've implemented too, or still implementing. So
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty good advice.
Absolutely. And that's advice you can use in any aspect of your life. Being a firefighter, being an accountant, do you just solely rely on what you learned in accounting school, or do you see other accountants and go, oh, they do that, and that's a really good idea, and that's very efficient, so I'm going to start doing that, and you just make yourself into a really good accountant. And the better you are, probably the more money you're going to make, and the more successful you'll be. So, that there's another analogy. There's a ton of them, I'm sure, but the idea that you take a piece of this person, a piece of that you really like of that person, and put it all together to form this perfect entity, that should be your goal. When I got into this, I didn't get into it to fail. You know what I mean? I just took a job recently on in the fire department in a training position. So I work days now. I've after 28 years, I'm not of ambulances and fire engines. I'm working in an office now. And but when I tested for it, I didn't go in to lose. I went in like I'm going to be successful at this, and I did everything I could to prepare for it, and it showed. I had a one of our chiefs say, "The word is that you were extremely prepared for the interview," and I was like, "Well, of course. I don't go in there to be a chump, you know. I go in there to be good at it." So I want to instill confidence. Um, one other story regarding confidence that's huge. That is absolutely huge with streaming. There's a lack of confidence that I've noticed with a lot of streamers. And they're on there and they're doing it and they still lack confidence. Even people that have thousands and thousands of viewers, I've seen it. I think just own it, be confident in yourself. Um, you know that you're good at what you do. There's not a lot of people that can pull it off. So yeah, confidence is a big aspect for me. Like I said, when I was younger, I was very introverted. I was kind of a twig. I was very skinny and quiet. And, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but if I was walking down the street and three kids were walking down the other side of the street and they were laughing, I thought they were laughing at me. You know what I mean? I was just very self-conscious and they weren't, you know what I mean? But I was just very self-conscious, and maybe it was the military, maybe it was being a paramedic and running, calls where I'm saving people's lives, and or being a firefighter. Maybe confidence grows eventually. It's not overnight, and but confidence in what you're doing, confidence in achieving success is so important in anything you do, and definitely correlates with the streaming hobby or profession or whatever you choose streaming to be in your life.
Yeah, confidence is definitely a huge thing for content creators. I mean, myself included, honestly. I mean, I've been self conscious about the fact that I've said honestly about 6 or 7 times during this podcast. And it probably doesn't matter. People are still going to listen and they're still, going to get the same value out of our talk today. And it doesn't matter how many times I've said it. And I just,
Exactly.
like, it's confidence is huge. It's,
Exactly. And here's something, if I can interrupt you for just 1 second.
go ahead.
I was in my 40s before I got to this point where I think I'm a good person. I wake up in the morning, I try to be a good person. I don't try not to think poorly of people. I try to not be too judgmental. I try to have a positive outlook on life. And if someone has a problem with me, that's usually their problem, not mine. And so that increased my confidence. Even in my 40s, I was like, yeah, like almost like a screw you guys, in a nice way. But like, hey, I'm going to be me, and nothing's going to stop me from being me, because I know I'm not doing anything that's malicious or negative, or I'm not bringing other people down. People don't have to react to me in a negative way; they react to me in a positive way. That's kind of my goal. And I was in my 40s before I realized that. Someone would have a problem with me, and I'm like, oh, why do they? How come they don't like me? And it's usually their problem.
That is, it's very true advice from what I'm little experience I have dealing with people. Obviously, compared to what you have, it's a lot more experience, but I mean, compared to you, it's a lot less experience, is what I have. That's what's what I meant to say. Um, so we've covered a lot in terms of advice. I kind of want to move on to the kind of last talking point that I have here for us today. Is what's next for you? What are your plans? What do you have in mind now that you've built up this community over the last 9-ish months? What do you plan on doing?
That is something I'm still trying to figure out, believe it or not. Over the course of 9.5, 10 months, even 5, 6 months ago, I was getting people saying, "Hey, come play on my server," or "Hey, would you like to do this or do that?" And I was like, I'm so hyper focused on this medieval city build that I'm trying to finish. I'm so focused on it that I just don't want to take away from it. If I um, came came into your server, I can't give 100%. I tried it one or two times and I just couldn't give what I wanted. Um, and so I was like, I'm just going to focus on this build and finish it up. So when I finished it, um, it was kind of weird. There are a few servers that I've been on. Um, there's some different things we're, there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. Some things are in planning stages and I can't really talk about, but involving servers and the creation of big servers and stuff like that, and with a team of different creators. But um, there's there's a lot of people that I really admire that I really want to play with. Um, but I can't play with everybody. I can't do everything. So I kind of have to kind of nibble a little bit and not take big bites. But one thing I did do that I wasn't planning on was going back to that ownership thing, where when I build stuff, people want ownership in it. People want to see me build stuff. They don't want to see me play on a server, like stuff like that. I don't think. Um, I even though I will and I look forward to it, so I can play with people that I like and that I admire. Um, I did already start just not a big city, but just a castle build. I just picked a mountain in a savanna, and I'm building a big castle on, not a ginormous, but I'm building a castle on top of it, and that's going to be the only build. Am I going to do other things along the way? Yes, I'll fight the Ender Dragon and get some advancements along the way. But I think that people just want to see JMO build. So I'm going to do a lot of things, but it's always going to go back to building, and that's something I enjoy, and it lets me be. I'm not extremely creative normally, but that is somewhere where I am. So yeah, I'll just keep doing it. I'll keep building. Go hang out with some of these awesome people that I've met over the last several months, and there's so much potential on Twitch. That's what's so awesome about it, is there's so much I could do. I could start playing another game for that matter. I started playing Bed Wars, and I had this awesome viewer count, and I'm like, well, this is odd, like, but I was branding it as like the old guy playing Bed Wars. I was probably the oldest guy in there. And I'm no good at it, but it's still fun. It was a lot of fun to play. And so just kind of spread my wings. I was invited to a server where it's all Conquest Reforged mod pack, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. It was an honor to be invited there by a really well respected streamer, so on his server. So I'm excited to do that. And yeah, upward and onward. We're just this kind of the sky's the limit is the way I look at it. I have 6 years until I retire from the fire department, so who knows what's going to happen then? It could absolutely be crazy. I mean, who knows where my community is going to be in 6 years? I anticipate that I'll still be streaming then, but imagine doing this full time, doing it for a lot more time than I do it right now. It would be absolutely insane. But I think, to answer your question, sky's the limit. All options are on the table. I have a few things I definitely want to get to first, but yeah, there's just so many things I could do, and we'll keep giving. Someone asked me what's going to happen. Like they said, if you make that 5,000 a month, then I'm giving 5,000 away. They said, "Do you want to be?" Someone asked me once, "Do you want to be a partner, a Twitch partner?" I said, "Absolutely," and it's not for ego reasons by any means. It's because if I'm partner, that means more people are watching and more people are donating, and we're giving more away to charity.
Well, that is very humble of you to say. Honestly, I mean, a lot of people go for partner because they want to, make this a full-time business, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I fully support people doing that. But it's just so humble to hear you say that even if you make partner, even if you make 5,000 a month in subs, that you're still going to give it all back to charity. I think that's very awesome of you, and I wish you well on your future endeavors, man. I'm gonna be right there to support you too, any way that I can.
Thank you very kindly. Thank you very kindly.
Yeah, your content is it's very nice. It's very good. It's very wholesome. Um, it's very good content. If you're not watching JMO on Twitch, you should be watching JMO on Twitch. And speaking of watching JMO on Twitch, I'm gonna shout you out one more time, and I think we'll be done here, unless you have any closing comments or any notes or anything you want to bring up?
No, yeah, just please follow me on Twitch, and also on social media, JMOTheSCHMO on Twitter, Instagram. TikTok isn't extremely, I'm not extremely busy on there. I'll post a few things here and there, but Twitter and Instagram, I'm fairly active on. The idea is to have a YouTube channel. I do need someone to teach me how to edit. So that's the next thing I need to learn. So, and let me tell you something, coming from a 51-year-old guy, you don't retain things as well. I'll learn something and go, okay, and figure it out. And then most people retain that. And yeah, then like the next time I go to do it, I'm like, wait, how do you do that again? So it's like I need constant, like until I really nail it down, I really do need to do a lot of tech stuff and a lot of figuring things out. So, but the one thing I would like to do is edit. I'd like to get a YouTube channel going. I've had people ask me in stream, like, what's your YouTube channel? I want to watch your videos. Like, I don't have one, so that's something that I think the community wants and the viewers want. And it's something JMO needs to deliver.
Well, that sounds awesome. Um, if there is a YouTube channel by the time this gets posted, I'll put it in the YouTube description. I'm gonna edit this part out, but I do post this to YouTube as a video.
Okay.
So if
Yeah,
there,
I do not have, I actually have one, but it doesn't come up on a search because there's no videos on it.
yeah,
But I have one set aside under my Google account. So we're all good there. It's just a matter of putting that first video on there. Now, Planet Minecraft, who would have thunk? That's an awesome platform. They've had, in the time it's been around, like 9 or 11 years, I forget how long, they've had almost 500 million downloads. It's
wow,
absolutely insane. Yeah,
yeah, that
Planet
site
Minecraft
is.
it's really neat. Yeah, so that's something I may go there. I may not do. I don't know. I got to figure it out. I got to figure out what's going to bring exposure to the Twitch channel so that we can make more money to give away.
Yeah, that is truly awesome. Like, I'm really looking forward to what you do in the future. And I think with that, I will call it here. It has been awesome talking with you, and good luck on your future endeavors, man. It's been an honor talking with you.
Once again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.